I confess, you've been conditioned to believe that true disrespect always arrives with a sharp word or an undeniable slight. You've been led to think it announces itself, allowing you to prepare for battle. But I tell you now, that widespread belief is a meticulously crafted lie, a dangerous fantasy designed to keep you blind. The true architects of your emotional exhaustion, the silent thieves of your peace and self-worth, operate in the shadows, masquerading as affection, even concern. They are masters of annulment, leaving you to give and give, only to receive a hollow echo of yourself in return. This quiet erosion leaves a man feeling invisible, confused by new rules, and fearing irrelevance. No one dares speak of this covert war on your dignity, but I will. I promise to unveil the naked, inconvenient truths about how your personal power is being systematically drained. In the next few moments, I will expose the precise mechanisms by which your spirit is subtly chipped away, and critically, how you can reclaim your unwavering authority and impenetrable peace. You have been promised revelation, and now it begins. Consider your self-respect not as an impervious monolith, but as a meticulously constructed edifice, its foundation laid with care over a lifetime. The subtle forms of disrespect we now expose are not explosive breaches, but rather the initial, almost imperceptible cracks appearing in that very foundation. They are easy to overlook, dismissed as trivial, yet their presence heralds deeper structural instability. The first sign, a fissure often excused as mere enthusiasm, is the interrupted story. You are speaking, sharing a thought, a memory, or an insight gleaned from years of experience. Suddenly, without apology or acknowledgement, another voice intrudes, hijacking your narrative, steering the conversation elsewhere. This is not just rudeness. It's a silent declaration that your voice, your perspective, holds insufficient weight to be heard to its completion. This constant cutting off, this systemic devaluation of your spoken word, acts like persistent micro-vibrations against a stone foundation. Each interruption, a tiny tremor, weakening the mortar, loosening the very bricks of your communicative confidence. The senior man begins to internalize this, unconsciously shortening his contributions or withdrawing entirely. He sees the visible cracks, but attributes them to age, not to the calculated assault on his presence. Then there is the benevolent dismissal, perhaps the most insidious of these early assaults. You offer an opinion, a suggestion, or a hard-won perspective, only to have it met with a patronizing smile, a gentle pat on the arm, and phrases like, "That's sweet," or "Times have changed, old-timer." Your insight is not debated or even rejected. It is affectionately, yet firmly, relegated to the realm of charming obsolescence. This benevolent dismissal hollows out the structural integrity of your intellectual contribution. Imagine a beautiful archway. Instead of tearing it down, they simply fill it with foam, rendering it useless for support while maintaining its outward form. You become a decorative, rather than functional, part of the discussion. These early breaches are critical indicators. Understand this: the next series of signals are far more subtle, more psychologically damaging, and harder to discern. These deeper currents of disrespect are not mere cracks. They are systematic withdrawals from your very core. The subtle tremors escalate into significant debits against your emotional bank account. Consider the delegated decision. This is when your profound experience is only sought for trivialities, for tasks unworthy of your true wisdom. You are asked to confirm the color of napkins, while strategic blueprints are crafted without your counsel. This is the silent draining of your innate authority. This persistent trivialization acts as a slow, deliberate erosion, a constant debit from your emotional bank account. Each instance you are consulted on the mundane, while weighty matters bypass your judgment, depletes your sense of value. The senior man finds his once robust reserve of self-worth slowly diminishing, replaced by a gnawing emptiness. He feels his influence recede, not through direct challenge, but through the insidious art of subtle circumvention. The balance of his inner power dwindles. Next, we encounter the public correction, a brutal, unannounced withdrawal designed to shame. You articulate a fact, an anecdote, or an observation, only to be corrected swiftly and conspicuously before an audience. This isn't about accuracy. It's a calculated act of public diminishment, a declaration that your knowledge is flawed, your memory suspect. The blow isn't just to your statement, it's a direct assault on your perceived competence, leaving you exposed and emotionally bankrupt in the moment. Even more perplexing is the comparative compliment. This insidious tactic presents itself as praise, yet it subtly undermines your individual merit. You're not like those other men, they might say. You're actually quite understanding. This isn't an affirmation of your unique qualities, but a conditional acceptance, framing your worth relative to others deemed inferior. It's a false deposit into your emotional account, a counterfeit currency that devalues genuine self-regard by implying your virtue is merely an absence of vice. Each delegated decision, every public correction, and every comparative compliment subtracts from your internal reserves. These are not isolated incidents, but a pattern of systematic debits, steadily plunging your emotional bank account into a perilous deficit. Your once unshakable self-esteem becomes fragile, your confidence eroded by these invisible aggressions. A man's power is not measured by external recognition alone, but by his inner conviction. But what, then, is the current balance of your own emotional account? But understanding the signs is merely reconnaissance. The true power lies in understanding why these aggressions manifest and how to fundamentally shift the dynamic. You've identified the individual skirmishes. Now we must prepare for the larger war. This isn't about winning a single battle, but about securing lasting victory for your self-respect, transforming the entire theater of conflict into your advantage. The aggressor in this silent war often operates from a position of profound insecurity, projecting their own deficiencies onto the strong. Psychology tells us that diminishing another is a desperate attempt to elevate oneself, a futile strategy for self-affirmation. The senior man must recognize that these veiled assaults are not always personal attacks, but rather misguided thrusts from an opponent afraid of their own shadows, seeking to destabilize your fortress. The veteran commander knows every skirmish cannot be won by direct engagement. You must understand the true battlefield is not the external interaction, but your internal response. To counter these subtle attacks effectively, you must learn to conserve your emotional ammunition. Each reactive defense drains your energy, feeding the aggressor's need for dominance. The wise man picks his battles, choosing where and when to deploy his strength, never wasting a single volley. Your ultimate objective is to reinforce the fortress of autonomy that defines your sovereign self. Engaging in every petty dispute over a comparative compliment or interrupted story is like sending out small platoons to defend every inch of perimeter. A true strategist knows to consolidate his defenses, making the core impregnable. You must decide which battles are worth fighting, and which are merely diversions designed to drain your vital resources and distract from the main objective. Winning this war for self-respect is not about winning every individual argument, but about changing the very rules of engagement. You must cease to validate the aggressor's tactics by reacting predictably. This requires a profound shift in strategic thinking, moving beyond tactical defense to a commanding offense of self-preservation. The senior man does not merely survive the attacks, he transcends them, forging an unassailable dignity that renders such assaults utterly powerless. Your peace is your ultimate weapon. Let me share a truth, a quiet confession from the feminine perspective, often unspoken. Disrespect, at its deepest level, is rarely about what is done to you, but rather what you unconsciously permit. It is not an invasion, but an occupation of unclaimed territory, a vacuum you have allowed to form. We, women, observe this. We sense the energetic space a man holds, or fails to hold. This is the first, almost imperceptible lesson. Understand this profoundly. Genuine respect, therefore, is not conquered through aggressive assertion, nor is it begged for in emotional displays. The senior man earns absolute deference through a tranquil detachment, an unyielding self-sufficiency that broadcasts inner strength. He sets boundaries not with anger, but with an inherent understanding of his own worth, a quiet certainty. This silent declaration communicates far more than any shouted command ever could. This is his profound secret. Consider a man's presence not as a physical attribute, but as a gravitational force. Some men possess an innate weight, a density of being that naturally pulls others into orbit around their respectful sphere. This isn't arrogance, it's an energetic anchor, a deep-seated assurance that does not require external validation to remain centered. You feel it in his stillness, in the unhurried cadence of his responses, in the steadfast gaze he maintains. This gravitas, this inherent presence, compels respect without uttering a single demand. The senior man who cultivates this weight creates an invisible field around him, an energetic perimeter that others instinctively recognize and honor. His opinions carry an unspoken authority, his decisions a silent resonance. You find yourself drawn to him, not by force, but by the sheer magnetic pull of his self-possession. It's a law of social physics. Conversely, a light man is easily swayed, his center of gravity too dependent on external influence. He is moved by the shifting winds of emotion, by the subtle manipulations of others, constantly adjusting his position to gain approval or avoid conflict. Such a man lacks the intrinsic density that anchors respect. He becomes a feather, easily tossed by our whims, and thus, instinctively, disregarded as lacking substance. His lack of weight is his undoing. Here is the backstage truth, a fundamental law governing the feminine response. We, women, cannot, on an instinctive level, disrespect a man who is genuinely at peace with the possibility of losing us. This isn't about manipulation or indifference. It's about his profound self-respect projecting an unassailable strength. His peace with autonomy, both his and ours, makes him invulnerable to emotional games, radiating true power. This tranquility, born from a deep understanding of self-worth, forms an unshakable boundary. When a man exudes this quiet confidence, this serene acceptance of outcomes, he signals a fundamental respect for his own journey. It implies a self-contained universe within him, complete and whole. This inner peace is a fortress. It declares that his value is non-negotiable, and he will not compromise his essence for external approval. It is his ultimate shield. The wellspring of this weight is profound self-sufficiency. It is the realization that his happiness, his validation, and his purpose reside solely within himself, independent of any external source. He does not need you or anyone else to complete his existence. This freedom from external reliance is not coldness. It is the warm glow of inner completeness. It is the solid ground upon which all true respect is built, unyielding and self-sustaining. His boundaries are not walls built of fear, but the well-defined perimeter of his sovereign territory. They are declared, not with aggressive pronouncements, but with the quiet, unwavering consistency of natural law. To breach them is to collide with an unmovable force, a resistance that signals intrinsic value. The senior man understands that defending this inner sanctum is paramount, making his personal space and principles inviolable. This is architectural integrity. Therefore, your deepest protection against disrespect lies not in external battles, but in cultivating this formidable internal presence. Become the gravitational center of your own life, unyielding in your calm detachment, unwavering in your boundaries. This is the path to respect that requires no words, no arguments, only the undeniable force of your being. What kind of presence, then, will you choose to project into the world? Ultimately, the respect we extend to you, men, is never a gift given lightly. It is a direct reflection of the respect you have cultivated within yourself. Your gravitas, your unyielding presence, broadcasts your intrinsic value. This truth, often overlooked, is the quiet foundation of all powerful dynamics. It is the silent mirror of your inner kingdom. Know this, then. We test your boundaries not to diminish you, but to gauge the strength of your inner architecture. Like a lighthouse enduring a storm, we need to know your structure is unshakable. We probe for weaknesses, for the point where you bend. This instinct seeks not to destroy, but to find security. We push, not out of malice, but to find the man who does not break or waver easily. This is our search for the immovable force, the anchor in life's turbulent seas. Therefore, reflect deeply. What kind of structure have you built? Will your fortress withstand the squall, or will it crumble under the slightest pressure? The resolution lies within your autonomy. By embracing your self-sufficiency, by declaring your peace non-negotiable, you cease to be a vessel for external validation. This unwavering commitment to your own truth transforms you into an unassailable bastion of dignity. It is the definitive declaration of your sovereignty, a fortress truly built to last. This journey of self-mastery is lifelong, but the rewards are immeasurable. Reflect on these insights, share your thoughts in the comments below, and if this message resonated, please like and subscribe. Your true power is forged in the silence of self-possession. A man's self-mastery is his greatest magnet.